Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. Let's begin with a few minutes of meditating together. So find a position that's comfortable for you. And allow the awareness to pull from the outer world to the inner world. Make sure the eyes are closed. The body is still. The phones are off. Limit as much as you can the stimuli coming in from the outer world. And draw the awareness, the attention, the focus within. Draw the awareness to your breath, but not high up in your rib cage and lungs. Rather, draw the awareness to the breath, low in the abdomen. There's a place about 2 inches below the belly button. Called the Swadhisthana chakra. It's an energy center that sits just a couple of inches below the navel, above the groin. Draw the awareness there. So as you're inhaling, feel the breath flowing into that energy center. Feel it expanding. And as you exhale, drop back down into that center. If the mind wanders, just bring it back. Back to the breath. As we're inhaling and exhaling in that energy center. On the next inhalation, as you inhale, rather than feeling the abdomen expand outward, instead of that, allow the breath to rise through the being. So as you inhale, you're still taking it in at the Swadhisthana chakra. But then the breath is rising up through the being, through the solar plexus, through the rib cage and lungs, through the throat, and ultimately up to the third eye center, the Agya chakra, just between the eyebrows. And then we exhale slowly back down to the Swadhisthana chakra. Now if you can't bring the breath all the way up to your third eye on one slow, smooth inhalation, don't worry. Don't force it. Don't suffocate yourself. Just bring it as high as it can go easily. And then exhale back down. But regardless of how high you can actually let it rise, keep the awareness during the inhalations. Keep that awareness on the third eye center, on the Agya chakra. And feel as though it's magnetically almost pulling the breath upward toward it. and sinking deeper and deeper into the core of the self on the exhalations. And allow yourself for just a moment at the end of each exhalation, before you begin the next inhalation, allow yourself to just rest for a moment in that center, that energy center at the core of the being. Allow yourself just a moment to rest there. Slowly bring the palms together at chest level. Rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open your eyes and lower your hands. Why do we worship the cow? So many beautiful questions come in advance. It's always hard to decide where to start, but might as well start with number one. Why do we worship the cow? So there's a lot of components to this. And for me, this time of satsang and what makes it really precious is that it's about our truth. Satsang is very different from a class or a lecture, in that the goal of satsang is not about acquiring intellectual information. There's no quiz on the way out. Nobody's going to say to you, all right, what did we discuss in satsang? You know, you come back and I say, okay, who's going to recap yesterday for me? It's not about that. It's not about you listening to me give a talk and then saying, oh, that was a great talk, and me saying, oh, that was a great talk. It's not that at all. Satsang literally means in the presence of truth. And it's a truth that transforms us. It's a truth that is the space in which we expand into the truth of who we are. And I mention that very specifically with this particular question because occasionally these sorts of philosophical questions will come. Usually it's personal questions about individual spiritual paths, but occasionally philosophical questions will come. And I don't like to avoid any question. I don't want there to be any question that's off limits. On the other hand, it's important to me that this not become simply a philosophical lecture. And so whether we're talking certain mantras, whether we talk certain scriptures, whether we talk certain incarnations of the divine or certain religious rites or rituals, or whether we talk why the cow is worshipped, in any of these aspects, the question that to me always matters is, what does this mean to us? What about this is true for me? And how does that bring me closer to a truth for me? So the cow, there are, of course, lots of beautiful philosophical reasons for that. The core, most basic one, just quickly, has to do with the cow being that which gives and gives and gives. So the image of the cow is that she provides. It's not just milk, but everything of the cow. Her milk, her urine, her manure. We're sitting right here on beautiful cow manure. Yeah, it's wonderful to share that with people when they sit on it, especially before we got the grass on. I remember when Prince Charles was here a few years ago, and Pujya Swamiji told him that he was sitting here on the cow dung, and he loved it. So it's the cow dung. It's what we use in our fire ceremonies when you perform the fire ceremony with us in the arti. Before the lighting, when we do the yagna, the homa ceremony, instead of using wood, which comes from trees, which are precious, and we plant them, not cut them down, we actually use cow patties. So cow dung is a wonderful, wonderful source for fire. It makes great floors and walls, gobar. They mix it with straw. It's cool in the summer, warm in the winter, it repels all sorts of insects. It's great for you. Cow urine is antibacterial, anti-insecticide if you're looking for a fantastic non-toxic cleanser. It's what we use here to clean the floors. People drink it. So lots of uses for it. They make soaps out of it. I mean, everything that you would need to be antibacterial, either within the body or for cleaning outside cow urine. It's nectar. Gomutra, they call it. The milk we know. So the cow is worshipped as this giver and giver and giver who takes nothing. Hence, she's Mother Cow. For me, though, the teaching of the cow is actually different. What inspires worship in me of the cow is this is a creature who is actually quite intelligent. The cow is not a stupid animal by any means. Cows are quite intelligent, quite aware, good nervous systems, good sensory systems. Nonetheless, who's able to lie down very peacefully in the midst of traffic. Drive down the streets of Delhi, Rishikesh, anywhere. Cars are honking their horns, coming in every direction. No rhyme or reason, no lanes, no rules. I mean, it's terrifying to be a passenger in a car. But the cow, lying in the middle of the road, totally unfazed. So many times we're driving down the road and the driver literally has to stop the car, get out, and kind of pat the cow to stand up and walk out of the road. Now, she wasn't asleep, she was just resting. Again, not stupid, not deaf, not blind, but an ability to really embody when we talk about peace in the chaos, when we talk about noiseless amidst the noise, when we talk about that beautiful image of the lotus flower growing in the muck, but not getting mucky. So it's not about, oh, in order to be beautiful, I have to be far away from the muck. No, the lotus grows in the muck. And it's also the flower that is used in worship. Grows in the dirt, but stays pristine and beautiful. So the cow is able in many ways to actually embody that, where here she is in the midst of chaos, aware of it, intelligent about it, but unfazed by it. She's got faith. She knows these people believe that to kill me is to basically condemn them to karmic hell for lifetimes. So nobody's going to hit me. Nobody's going to touch me. She's perfectly content in her faith of knowing nobody's going to do anything to me. Because they know to hit this cow, to harm that cow, is accruing God knows how many lifetimes of bad karma. So she's got faith. She knows I'm protected. And here's what I love about that. In our spiritual traditions, we pray to the divine. We bow to the divine. We surrender to the divine. We perform all sorts of, whether it's prayers, whether it's pujas, rites, rituals, ceremonies, offerings, whatever it may be, to the divine. We understand that that divine is infinite, omnipotent. And yet we move through the world like rats on electric shocking machines. I mean, literally, we are constantly jumpy and stressed and restless and worried and oh my God, like whatever happens. Tiny little things. Somebody takes our parking spot. A flight we're supposed to take is late or canceled. We're stuck in traffic. We gained weight we didn't want to gain. We lost weight we didn't want to lose. We can't find our car keys. Can't find our eyeglasses. Whatever it may be. But it's a sort of every minute, every moment, stress and tension. It's the exact opposite of that experience of faith, that experience of knowing I'm being taken care of. There's an intelligence in the universe, and it flows through me. And it may not tell me where my car keys are or my eyeglasses are, but it's taking care of me on a level that I don't need to slip into this automatic fight or flight stress response to everything that happens in my life. And the cow is this perfect example of that for me. Of how to really have faith, because a lot of us may be in difficult situations, but very few of us find ourselves lying down in the middle of a road in traffic. I mean, that would be scary. Just imagine being on the road, on a busy highway, in traffic, vehicles going every which way. And now look at the cow, able to just be there with such peace and such faith. And so for me, the worship of the cow is actually rooted in that. It's rooted in how can I develop the ability not to have to lie in traffic. Thankfully, that's not what I have to do in my life. I'm not sure I could do that without any stress. But how can I move through my life? The metaphoric cars that are coming, the metaphoric horns that are honking, the metaphoric threats in my life. As anchored and grounded and peaceful and calm as the cow. So while you're here in India, whenever you see a cow in the middle of the road, just allow yourself to sort of connect with that on an energetic level and see whether you can't pick up via energetic osmosis that experience of peace in the chaos, that experience of the eye of the hurricane, that experience of being noiseless amidst the noise. If anyone here has any questions, I'm happy to take them before taking any of the others that have come in advance. Yes. Yes. You'll translate. I get it. Wonderful.
们那个小城市里的人，没有信仰，就是文化层次非常低，就是大部分人生活的很痛苦，我看到他们非常就是生活的非常的痛苦，就是我想帮助他们，但是我不知道怎么去帮助他们。
Okay.
She's saying that she's from a small town in northern part of China, and in her hometown, the people don't have any religion and any beliefs, so they are all in misery, and she wants to help them, but she don't know how to help them.
Beautiful. So, trying to bring a sense of devotion, connection to God, to people who don't have that is very, very difficult. And it's very difficult in two ways. Number one, because their beliefs are already set, so to change somebody's belief is very difficult. But it's also difficult because people sometimes tend to rebel against it. What you say scares them, and so they don't want to hear it. But here's what's really beautiful. You don't have to convince them to believe in any particular form of God. You don't have to convince them to believe in any particular religion. All you have to do is help people understand that they are connected to the universe, that they're connected to each other. And a beautiful way to help people understand that is, so if I love you, and I really love you, love, not love, is your essence, your soul, right? It's not that you get in a car accident and now you're not so beautiful, so I don't love you anymore. Or you get sick and you lose a lot of weight and you become very thin, so I don't love you anymore. Or you become very, very fat and now I don't love you anymore. Or you get a very bad haircut and now I don't love you anymore. If I love you, it's not about the shape or the size of your body or your hair or your skin. It's about your essence. And then the question becomes, well, who is that essence? Right? The body keeps changing. If you love someone, and you love them for more than 7 or 8 years, their entire body has regenerated within 7 or 8 years. Every cell of the body. So if you marry someone, and 10 years later you celebrate an anniversary, there isn't one cell of either of your bodies left today that got married to each other 10 years ago. So who's loving who? What are you loving? It's soul to soul. And you don't have to call it soul. They can call it spirit. They can call it essence. They can call it consciousness. They can call it whatever they want to call it. But science tells us all the cells of my body regenerate. Same thing if you love your mother or your father. Well, you've loved them since you were a baby. But the bodies that they had when you were a newborn and they were 25, now you're 25, they're 50, or you're 50, they're 75. Your body has changed so many times, their bodies have changed so many times. But you still love them. Who's loving who? What are you loving? And you can begin by helping people simply understand that, because what it does is it helps them realize, we're not only bodies. Because if I don't believe in anything, then I think I'm only a body. Because the minute that I start talking about a soul or a spirit, it automatically implies some kind of divinity, some kind of spiritual world. And if we don't believe in any of that, then the only option is to say we are just our bodies. We are born, we live, we die. But if I know that what I'm connected to is not the body, that what I love is not the body, then that gives me the opportunity to start to think about who is it in me that is loving? Who's the I? I've been saying I since I was about 2 years old. That's typically when kids start to learn me, mine. We keep saying I, but the body keeps changing. Who is the I? There's not one cell in my body today that was saying I when I was 5 years old, or that even was saying I when I was 40 years old. Who's the I? So you can get them at least to start to think like that, that brings them into a place of connecting with a part of themselves that's not their body. And then you can slowly offer just comments about the nature of the universe. So the nature of the intelligence, for example, that tells a caterpillar when to climb a tree and how to weave a cocoon and how to become a butterfly. The intelligence that makes seeds sprout. The intelligence in nature. How did nature get that intelligence? What is that intelligence? How does a seed know when to sprout? How does a seed know what to become? What's that intelligence? And just start to marvel at these things. Connect them with love, connect them with their hearts, connect them to Mother Nature. Get them lying on the ground looking up at the stars. You don't need to have a name for God to be touched and in awe of the nature of the universe as you lie down and you look up at the stars. Slowly help them get in touch with a part of them that isn't their bodies, that isn't their intellectual minds. And then, if you feel that they trust you, if you feel that there's a way in, you could start to share, maybe just gently, humbly, like just a friend. God, you know, when I was in India, here's what I heard. Here's what I learned. Because too frequently when we try to teach people or help them, when they haven't asked to be taught or helped, they rebel against it. And then it just ends up creating pain. Pain for us because we mean well. Pain for them because they're pushing us away. But what will happen slowly as you go back and you live that experience of faith, and so you're not miserable, people will notice and they will say to you, what has happened to you? What have you learned? Teach me. People are pulled toward light, toward peace, like magnets, because we want it. And so wherever I think I can get it, I'm pulled toward it, whether it's a shopping store with a big flashing light in front of it and a beautiful woman that I want to look like that makes me go inside, only to come out 2 hours later much poorer and even more miserable. Or whether it's somebody in my social circle who seems to really have something I want, who seems to be full of a joy, a peace that I don't have and I want it. You will attract people and then share with them. But try to share like a friend, like a sister, rather than like a teacher, especially in the beginning. Because what it'll do is it will create a space of safety for people, rather than to feel like, oh, you've come back from India and now you're trying to teach them. But you carry that faith and that love. And slowly, 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 you will touch people. Yes. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow.